Okay, guys, today I'm going to go over line weight. I've seen it come up as questions on my feed, on Instagram, and people asking me about line weight, and I've seen it on other creatives, streams or their different platforms. So I'm going to explain it as best I can. And as far as the definition of line weight is the thickness of your line. So especially when it comes to inking, the thickness that you will use or the heaviness of your line. How broad the line that you put down is. You could do that in penciling too. When you're basically thickening using thicker strokes for your line weight. So let's get started with this. Okay. So here's a page I recently completed for an indie comic. This stuff, the indie business is tough. You have to keep working on different comics, to keep making a living, and then hopefully, the audience, appreciates it, and they ask you to come back, and it becomes a regular title. But in the meantime, you have to work a lot and have fun with it. So this is one of the projects I'm working on. So we're going to start with the first panel. We can just look at that, and this is going to give us the basically all the information we need here. Okay, if you look at this first panel, there are about 3 different line thicknesses here, line weights. Okay, as it, when I was in school, as it was told to me, the thicker the line, the more in front the object will appear. So if you use a very thick line to outline something, it would appear more towards the front or more in front of you. So the farther objects go back towards the distance, the thinner the line would be. So that's the general rule of thumb. I recently heard it by an incredible artist named Eric Canetti on during his Twitch stream. He basically broke it down to 3. Basically, heavy for your forward, medium in the mid ground, and light for the background or stuff in the distance. So you could think of it that way as well. And you guys should check out his streams. Very, very awesome guy. Great artist. That's Eric Canetti on Twitch. Okay, so we have here the examples of exactly what we're talking about. So I'm gonna select my first panel here in Manga Studio. That's my software of choice. Okay, so here we have my different line weights. Okay, so I'm going to let you or show you, have you focus on this chair here. You see this chair here? This I'm actually going to use. Let's see what. There you go. I'm going to use that selection. That way you guys can see it. This chair here, that is way in the front, so I went with the most thickest line I can use, or the brush, let's say brush size in the Manga Studio, which let's just say a thicker line. So that's my thickest line, one of my thickest lines, and then the lines back here. So I'm going to circle this in the back, or let's just say I'm going to circle this curtain here. That curtain there would be the lightest or the thinnest line. Okay, and then somewhere in the middle here, let's say this couch here, I'm just gonna circle this area here. That couch is our, let's say, our medium thickness line, medium width. So giving that, your eye will naturally put the stuff in order, or put the objects in order while you're looking. So because of the thickness of the line, you will automatically come towards the front here first. Then as you're going backwards, the lines get thinner, and you could actually go into your drawing. So your eye would actually work into the drawing, into the panel. Okay, and this panel is set this way. There's something important going on that TV broadcast, that news broadcast, and the young guy here is listening to it while he's waiting for his dinner. So if you look at it, this is a simple example of that. Now the interesting thing is that there are some areas that are pure black. So like this shadow here and this drop shadow here on his legs. Those are naturally dark shadows that I decided would work, that would help set the overall contrast in the whole panel. Those since they're pure black, they actually just disappear into the distance, and they are basically they're kind of a void, so they're not really thickness since they're pure black. They're 100% black. They in a way look at it as void. Pure black tends to be a void, and it's actually appealing to the eye. So that's why it doesn't really fight too often with your thicker lines in the front. Okay, so and then just to make a point here, how when you break the rules it doesn't work, is I'm going to try to select. Okay, I work in when I do my backgrounds, I work in vector layers, so that way I can actually adjust my line thickness and my line weights. Okay, so that's selected. So right now my brush size for that is a 6. Now the numbers aren't really important, because the numbers have to do with your brush size number has to do with your DPI. So I'm using a 6, but if you're on a lower DPI, it may appear thicker, but that's a whole entire conversation within itself. So let's take a look at that. So that is a brush size of 6. So I'm going to bump that up to about 9. Okay, so let's deselect that. So then now let's take a look at that object. So now it's kind of still, in level with the table. It's still looking like it belongs there, but it does, if you notice, come out more. You notice it more. It almost comes out towards the viewer even more. So let's select it again. Oops, I moved something there, so let's just. Now I'm gonna bump it way up. I'm gonna exaggerate that to an 11. So you see, so if you look at that object, it's kind of just coming off the table. It's just completely coming towards you, and it's kind of fighting for attention. So if let's just take this other object, if I can select it really quickly. Let's just do that. Let's do it at 11 also. The both of them are fighting for your attention, along with the chair that's most in front of you. There's no denying it. It's not an opinion. You look at it, they're all fighting for the same attention. So I'm going to undo that so we can take a look at what it looks like thinner. So if you look at that, it actually sits where it needs to be, which is farther away from our thickest line here. So I mean, there are things in question where maybe this table here itself. Now, and I'm just kind of critiquing my own work here. This part of this ellipse here could possibly be dropped down a bit. Again, all this is a bonus for working for using vector layers. So you see I dropped it down a bit, and it may actually push it back even farther, which this is actually a choice I'm looking at now that I could have done. So I'm going to take that, select my and then I can adjust it however I'd like. Okay, so let's take that. I think we dropped it down to 10. So that is so look at that. Even as I did this, I found a small tweak. But then again, most importantly, is that this chair here would be the thickest line, or the heaviest line. Okay, so I think this is the best way to look at it in an actual work setting or drawing setting, and also another thing is, if you notice his outline, our character's outline here, it's pretty heavy, and I could probably arguably have gone heavier, but I wanted to be heavy enough where it's what's called considered a holding line. It's a line that holds that figure, that whole piece together. So that was my choice there to make him to make his outline thicker. Again, because this is what's in front of you. Now, with the superstar colorists nowadays, they can do a lot to save a piece that doesn't have the best line weights. But you don't want that. You want them just to worry about doing awesome colors, not saving your pieces. You want to work on your pieces to be the best they can be. Now looking this over one more time, I think I'm pretty happy with the way everything sits here. And again, those pure blacks, those are voids, black voids, and they help bring some contrast to the piece. And then all these other lines are just texture lines. You don't want to make your texture lines too thick because then they will battle with objects in front. And above and beyond that, there's more techniques and more tricks. This is just a simple look at what line weight is. And I think that covers it. Please, if you have any questions or rebuttals, feel free to comment in the comment section below, or you can reach out to me right here on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube, or Twitch. I do stream live on Twitch at least 2 times a week, Eastern Standard Time, Mondays at 10 a.m., Wednesdays at 10 a.m., 10 to 12, sometimes a little bit longer. It just works better with my schedule because I actually have other client work that I have to do. And that's basically my online schedule there. So you could always reach me online or on my Instagram, GeorgeVegaArt on Instagram, or anywhere else. You'll see my links below. But I hope this was useful. And any questions or anything, feel free to reach out. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Thanks for watching, guys, and please check out my Patreon page for more in-depth videos. And please check out my Etsy shop, search George Vega Art, where you can see over 100 items I have listed there of original art and prints.